So, hey guys, this is Black Woman 7 here, and I guess we're doing another Pokemon draft analysis. So, yeah. So, before I just get into this, pretty much we're going to be doing another round of PFA, another season of PFA. I think third one back. Third one since coming back, so yeah. Um, this team is probably like very interesting if you've noticed, since there's a lot of Pokemon that I've used familiar, which are pretty much sticking with familiarity, and sticking with like somewhat of a theme here, as you'll notice. So I'll get to that in a bit. So if you're wondering what happened with the last season, pretty much I guess like a lot of people kind of I think sort of mid-season they sort of there was not that much interest in the league, and it kind of like died down. So um there was some technically, like, since playoffs never actually occurred for that, like, I know I recorded for like PFA season 7, but at the end I think the league manager, I think Slick, decided, you know what, we're just gonna like give Black and the other guy, I think the last guy in battle, not the last, not that guy, I think Raiki, like the sort of like co-champions and whatnot. So in a way, we won that season, but in a way we didn't. So I guess I could keep it at that. So that's pretty much what happened. There was a lot of restructuring done in PFA, so most of the rules were rewritten, sort of like pretty much structured out so that way it's like, um, so that way if there's more interest for people, at least to show that, hey, this league is like a lot more organized. So it's been going on for like 8 seasons, so I guess we're doing something right. So yeah. um, but anyways, as you can probably see with the small specs there, I do have my draft, like already my team for the draft already, um, ready. So it's pretty much a standard like GBA draft. The only difference is that there is an S tier instead of another C tier mon, and the fact that this rule was also apparently reinforced after what happened last season. That like you can only have like 3 Pokemon of the same tier in a team, regardless whether it's a budget or like we call it, or a budget, or what do you call it, tier pick. So, or how like there's a guaranteed like C tier we can always have. So yeah. So let's get into the draft. So right off the bat, I decided to just go in for my S tier mon, because I realized I was very low in the draft. I think it was like 11th or 10th or something like that. And I know all the S tiers are going like Tapu Koko. And by the way, I was very close to getting Tapu Koko, but of course, unfortunately, but there were a lot of like Pokemon that were available in the lower tiers. But I was very surprised, and also I think there were also some new Pokemon allowed, as well as like the Mega Lotties and the Deoxys Defense. I was very close to considering Deoxys Defense, since it's like it can pretty much like stall and set up spikes, hazards, and whatnot. So pretty much be a good stall breaker in a way. But I realized, you know what? There was another psychic type available that I was like very like kind of shocked that it was not picked at all. And I was kind of like, you know what? I was kind of like, you know what? I'm just gonna pick it. So, I mean, I got Mew again, or Blue too, or second Blue. The clone for Blue, their Manaphy. I mean, we could have picked Manaphy, but then I realized, I'll just pick Mew, because like, honestly, Mew does a lot of stuff, and that's not even an understatement. Me saying it, like, it could be a stall breaker, wall breaker, defensive wall, like a sweeper, cleaner, whatever you name this thing to be. Like, it could be whatever the hell it wants. Well, not, I don't take it that like literally, but still. As I mean, when you have like the entire like, you can learn the entire like TMs of almost every generation, as well as uh move tutors. You pretty much can hit a lot for heavy damage regardless. Of course, having 100 in every stat, 100 in one stat isn't as good, but then having an rest of stats is very good. So it makes up for it. Like offensively speaking, it's okay, since it has access to Maxi Plot, and Sword Stands, Bulk Up, Combine, whatnot, and it has a good, okay speed too. And its defenses, of course, is really the fact that you have 100s across the board. Again, it's really nice. So I know Synchronize isn't as a valuable ability, but it can be very nice since it pretty much forces the opponent to like kind of like get burn or toxic back. So if they're going for toxic, at least they're gonna get toxic. So unless they have like a steel or poison Pokemon, so yeah. And likewise, Mew has some of the strongest like coverage in the game, like the strongest, with access to moves like obviously Psychic, Flamethrower, like Thunderbolt, Ice Beam, Energy Ball, Psychic, Sludge Bomb, Scald, or Sphere. It even has like an accurate move like that. It has priority like with Vacuum Wave and Sucker Punch, Dark Pulse, Dazzling Gleam, Flash Cannon, like whatnot. So I could go on, list its movesets. It could pretty much, and also be a good pivot option with the Volt Turn, like U-turn and Volt Switch. So it has everything it can like go for. So there's not really much I could say. Like this thing could just do it. Like it can provide so many roles. It could be a defogger, it could be rocker, wall, defensive wall or whatever, or a physical attacker, special attacker, whatnot. So just gives me a good base Pokemon to like kind of build around. So yeah. I know this is like pretty much the third time I got Mew, since I did trade it Mew for like Manphy last season. I was like, you know what, I'll just stick with Mew. So now another Pokemon I decided to stick with, and it was, since this was kind of close to Obeal, I decided, you know what, I'm just gonna pull the trigger and just keep this Pokemon, and I was just gonna get Zapdos, since I mean, Zapdos is by far like probably one of the best like electric types in Draft League, and I still stand by that. I think the only Pokemon's better is Tapu Koko, but Zapdos from a defensive standpoint is just really good. Like it's underrated as like a pivot option as well. Like when you have access to like 3 options to like pass, like let's say to go with Baton Pass, U-turn, and Volt Switch. Good passer. It has really good coverage with like potential like Fire Ice and electric coverage with Heat Wave, Hidden Power Ice, and like any stab of your choice, so Thunderbolt, Volt Switch, and Discharge. And it has screens, if it makes, and like access to Roar and shit like that. So also like underrated T-Wave. So that's also Whirlwind and Roar as well, just to like face shit. So and for some reason it has Curse. I think it's from like the GBA games, or not, yeah, or like Pokemon Gold, Silver, Crystal, Virtual Council, and you could transfer this to this. The abilities is really nice, since of course you could always choose between Pressure and Static, but obviously like those two are very, very strong in of itself. Like Pressure, of course, you can Pressure Stall certain Pokemon, Pressure Stall certain moves. Like let's say Pokemon keeps going for Psychic or Hurricanes multiple times, eventually they're gonna lose out in power point value, and you can just roost up. So. And then like you have Static, which if any Pokemon makes contact, that means they're gonna get static as well. So really nice Pokemon to have all around. So I mean, it's like there's not really much to say about Zapdos. I've used it so many times, and you've probably seen me use this Pokemon so many times on the channel and like whatnot. So I drafted it in CIL, I drafted it in PFA like 3 times in a row, or maybe over 4 if you want to count another season. Like up to a season or 2, and you've already seen me use this in like the Amino Draft Tour and shit. So, and the thing is, Zapdos is like a tried and proven Pokemon, and I was like, I just didn't like the other options available, and that Zapdos is like pretty much the only valuable A tier I like, since also it gives me access to Defog, and I don't mind putting Defog on Zapdos, where if I could like have Mew like do whatever the fuck it wants. So yeah. Like these two, like complement each other a lot. So yeah. Um, so the next Pokemon on this list, and I figured, you know what, I was gonna pretty much wait out Mega, and I was kind of surprised that this Pokemon went this like a lot of Pokemon went down like really fast. Like this one, I didn't expect to like go down this deep, like in round 3, and oh boy, it's Lopunny. So I mean, like those, it was actually between Lopunny and Char X, but I figured Lopunny was like better because like at least I don't have to like protect it from being from hazards, and I already had the Meal Zapdos and Char X from last season, so I was like, you know what, let's just get this from the other season before where I actually won. So I mean, Lopunny is like has some of the best coverage, like slash ability in the game. Like in terms of like like coverage, being able to hit everything, like the combination of normal fighting and scrappy is just really ridiculous. Like, and it's actually kind of underrated in a sense, since you pretty much hit everything. You have a guaranteed very fast Pokemon that's like 135 speed that just like outpaces like a shit ton of the metagame, especially if it's a draft league. And oftentimes, and in some cases, you could run Adamant, which is like even more scarier. So, of course, you could have your choice of normal type stab with Return, Retaliate, Fake Out, Quick Attack. Of course, Quick Fake Out, Quick Attack is a very nice combination to have. And then you have and I'm not even gonna like I already talked about Lopunny extended with video I did, so maybe there might be a card around here somewhere that you might check that out. So, but yeah, the coverage has elemental like it has great coverage with the elemental punches, but most of the time you don't need it unless you have to like hit something, let's say like a Scizor or like a Landorus or like Gliscor. And of course you have like potential setup with the power up punch as well. So you have like of course you have high jump kick, but I feel like that's like it's in some situations it could be like risky to use it. So of course you have drain punch, low kick, just to be very like safe in some situations, and as well as like options like toxic and thunder wave, which is really nice just to like status or some a wall or something. And you have like I believe like miracle, which is kind of weird, and as well as one last one was it healing wish. So if you're like going down and you know you're gonna go down, you might as well just heal something else. So, yeah. Likewise, like Lopunny is just one of those like Pokemon that can just take over a game, in my opinion. I value Lopunny a lot more as like the other megas. Like I think Scizor from like KCBL is like rising up, but like in my like terms of list of good megas, but Lopunny is definitely one that's just it could just take over a game by itself. Like pretty much go for fake out, chip damage. Like if you're able to get rocks up, hazards up, then you're pretty much set for running Lopunny. So again, like you have to. It really comes down to like using like having like everything chipped down and like being able to like weaken Pokemon and getting the necessary 2 kills for return or fighting stab or coverage to take out Pokemon. So yeah, like anyway, that's all I pretty much have to say about Lopunny. Like of course like defensive stuff can be problematic, but then when you have like Zapdos and Mew, that could pretty much help me out. So yeah, I just wanted something that was really quite offensive for like pretty much sort of like the face of the team aside these two. So now the next Pokemon I wanted to grab was I think Togekiss, but I think I got sniped on that one. So but then I realized there was another Pokemon I wanted, and that was Nidokings. Nidokings was pretty good since in season 6, since being able to have like and this was tiered C, so this pretty much like allows me to go and pick up Pokemon that was just like that's like pretty much in the lower tiers, so it just fulfills that slot. So yeah. Likewise, as you can see with this or I don't know if you can tan, but Nidokings has like a very vast amount of coverage with like Volt Beam, with Earth Power, Flamethrower. Like I think I know Ground and Earth Power and like Ice Beam is enough to like hit everything in the game, and then you have like Flamethrower, Thunderbolt, Sludge Wave just to hit other shit as well. You have access to Taunt. You have like good like Other like options like Super Fang, counter if you want to be that guy. Obviously you have Rock, so to alleviate like Rock, setting up Rocks and Mew, and you have like T spikes, and so that way you could just poison shit. So or Toxic if you just want to guarantee it's like something good to get poisoned. So yeah, Nidoking can be like very like yes the stats are underwhelming, but Nidoking can be just can be kind of dumb if you know how to use it. So being able to like set up T spikes, being able to pressure Pokemon, being able to like take down some of the strongest Pokemon in the game, even like Tapu Koko is like amazing if you ask me. Like, of course, like the coverage, like it has a lot of coverage, but I think what makes that up for like in like the low special attack, it's with its ability Sheer Force, because Sheer Force basically powers them up to like the nth degree. So Nidoqueen just allows me to like pretty much like have these moves like powered up, and you in some situations you could just 2-hit kill the entire like an entire team and just wall break enough to where like let's say Lopunny or like Mew or Zapdos can just do their things. Excuse me. So yeah, that's all I have to say about like Nidoqueen. Like, of course, like its weaknesses to water, its weaknesses to like Psychic were like notable, but like I figured that I could patch that up like later with this team. So yeah. No, the next Pokemon I wanted to grab was actually it's kind of funny because like the last three Pokemon, or Lopunny, Nidoqueen, and Metagross, as we'll see, are all like Pokemon I've used from Season 6. But it's kind of funny that like they're all back together. So even Zapdos, but okay. So this one's another Pokemon that I've used like recently. But okay, so I needed to get some water there. Recording 3 videos in between each other isn't like sometimes takes your voice out of you. So yeah. So anyways, Metagross is pretty much a Pokemon that I like. I wanted to get a Steel type. It's one that was very solid, one that's like pretty much hard to kill, unless you had like unless you had like very strong stab options and whatnot, like Fire, Ground, and like Ghost Dark. I figured that like having like Metagross paired up with like Lopunny is really nice again. I need another Pokemon that could just like another physical attacker in general. Of course, like Lopunny, Mew, and to the degree Nidoqueen can be like physical attackers, but I wanted something that's like sort of like, yeah, this is gonna be a physical attacker. I mean, it could have it be special because it has like 95, but still, having the ability like clear body is really nice since you can't get intimidated or stat drop. So and you have moves like Iron Head, Meteor Mash, the Ice Punch, Thunder Punch. Like this thing is pretty much hard, like I said, like with its base 130 like defense and 90 and 80 HP and 90 like with that. It's really hard to kill this thing. You kind of have to like go like with special moves and whatnot, but most of the time, I am Metagross and performance rolls. Of course, the reason why I got Metagross was because I wanted something to take on Psychic type Pokemon that like Mew and Lopunny can't deal with. Since I noticed that that like Metagross can't really like sort of like Metagross doesn't give a shit about Psychic types. Like of course it's Steel Psychic, so it's like quad effective, or not quad effective, but quad resistant. So and you have moves like Pursuit and like Meteor Mash, Ice Punch, or whatever coverage you have just to break through an entire team. So yeah. The only thing, and also I want to have another Rocker that could alleviate Nidoqueen and Mew if that's were the case. So again, like, I also have priority with Bullet Punch and also powerful Explosion if I ever feel like going for that route. So even though it's not like Gen 4, also has dual screens, which is kind of interesting. So and Refresh if you want to go for that. It has access to Rock Polish and I believe Agility just to like go for that in case I ever want to. So Trick, really nice. Block, sort of like block your opponent from escaping and just toxic them down. But yeah, there's not really much to say about Metagross. It's like one of those Pokemon again that's just it can just take down an entire. I wouldn't say it takes down an entire team, but it just sticks around. It just keeps chipping you down. I would do wish that its coverage was a lot better compared to like the other steel types, but given the fact that there was like far less of them in the there were far less of steel types in the draft at this point, I was like, given this like round 5, like I figured that Metagross just kind of fulfilled my criteria of like mons that I like, so or that like just worked with this team. So yeah. Now the next Pokemon, I believe I did snipe someone, or sort of agree with this someone, which we'll talk about, but like later. But I decided to get Aromatisse back. The reason why I did this though is because I needed a fairy type, and I actually noticed that like all the fairies that like are pretty expensive, from like except for like Aromatisse, which is tier D, and I realized that having another I needed a Pokemon that could just deal with dark types, since Lopunny isn't gonna deal with that, and I have 2 psychic Pokemon in the Metagross and Mew. So I mean, I've used Aromatisse last season. It was kind of okay-ish. It's just that like I think the last 2 games it wasn't as great because of course the matchup. I didn't think it was that good. The matchup where I brought it in wasn't as good as it should have been. So yeah. I mean, Aromatisse has access to Moonblast, has access to Thunderbolt, Calm Mind, of course, Wish, Protect, Aromatherapy, Heal Bell. The only thing I will and Toxic. Another thing it has access to is Trick Room, so I could pretty much have a Trick Room mode if there's a squad if I really want to. So kind of nice. And this thing does have access to Nasty Plot, which is kind of like I think it got from Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, so yeah. And its bulk is kind of similar to that of Clefable. I think if you like were to compare these 2 Pokemon, so that's why I kind of got this Pokemon as well as having Aroma Veil is kind of like, if you just look at this ability, it's like really niche, like, but it's a really good niche since it just, as you can see, is like it protects itself from like Disable, Encore, Heal Block, Taunt, and stuff like that. So pretty much you're ensuring that you're gonna get a Wish Up. And in draft, it could actually be helpful getting like wishes and whatnot. So, I just wanted to have like a fairy that just that was pretty much stable, and I was like, I guess you could say low budget, but I kind of hoped that I was gonna get like, let's say Togekiss or like a Florges or Sylveon would be around. But of course, if you're already like choosing Nidoqueen and by the time it's round 4, you're not gonna be able to get you're not gonna be able to get Florges and Sylveon. But I mean, that would have been the dream, but of course. But anyways, of course, we can't talk about like any Steel Dragon Fairy Core without the dragon itself. And this time I decided, you know what? Try to bring an old friend back, and that is Kyurem. Now, Kyurem is kind of like, if you look at its stats, this thing is kind of dumb if you ask me. Like, I've used Kyurem like multiple times in the league. Last year, I think I won 2, and including the one in PFA. But Kyurem is just flat out, I don't want to say broken, but it's just like, if it had one move extra coverage option, I think it would be like, let's say Calm Mind or something like that. But thankfully, Kyurem doesn't have that, so otherwise you wouldn't even see this thing in a draft at all. So, but anyways, with 125 HP and 90 defenses, this thing is pretty fat. It's like comparable to that of like Mew. So being able to like take hits is really amazing, and you have 130 offensive stats like with like Stab, Ice Beam. Now let that sink in. 130 special attack with Stab, Ice Beam is gonna hurt. And then you have like other coverage like Earth Power, Flash Cannon, Psychic, I believe Ancient Power as well, and of course Draco Meteor, Focus Blast, so, and a hidden power of your choice. Shadow Ball as well, Signal Beam. Now those coverage options are kind of niche, yes. Like that's kind of, like, these are some of the weirdest coverage in a way that you could have. But the fact that you have Earth Power and Stab Ice Beam and Stab a dragon move like Draco Meteor is really insane. And I did decide to give this thing a Z move. So, being able to power any of these attacks up to the nth degree is just ridiculous as well. Like Kyurem could be like a good like wall breaker, like a setup sweeper with like Z Hail as you saw that one time, or even like it could just be like a sub toxic set with pressure. Like it's another Pokemon like pressure stall stuff. So and I kind of like that like Kyurem kind of fell to me because like it's another strong dragon that's really it's kind of fast as well with like 95 speed. So I know I talked about like Kyurem like another video. So but like the thing is like it's a really I do find it underrated at times. And it's definitely something you like people should like consider like looking into. So yeah, not underrated as in like oh it's gonna win me games, but underrated as in it just performs its role very well in any situation. So yeah, so that's all I have to say about Kira. Now the last four Pokemon are actually like, except for the exception of Gelatin, like mons that are like new to me. So I'll just go over them. So the first one being Incineroar. Like I kind of wanted a fire type, and Incineroar was kind of like interesting as a pick if you ask me. Like Dark Fire is kind of a good defensive typing with access to Intimidate. So the fact that Incineroar has this with these bulky stats is really nice. It has access to Flare Blades. It has access to like Flamethrower. But if you don't want to like lose HP, you have access to Knock Off, U-Turn, Intimidate. So you can just pretty much be like a slow pivot into like Kyurem or Lopunny. So I wanted to have a Pokemon that could pretty much ensure that my matchup against Ghost and Dark type Pokemon isn't like lopsided. So yeah, of course, being very slow is kind of like really it has its advantages and disadvantages. Like of course, being able to slow pivot into something is nice, but again, having that like the fact that this thing could just might take a massive hit before like being able to switch out is like kind of like kind of annoying at sometimes. But yeah, I mean its coverage options are really nice. I mean you have access to like, of course as a fire type you have some of those very strong moves like Flare Blades, Overheat, Blast Burn since it's starter. You have some good coverage options. I believe it has Earthquake. Yeah, like knockoff. That's Darkest Larry, which is nice if you want to ignore like say possible like defense raises of Pokemon. Go Chop, like of course U-Turn, knockoff. I mean, I guess it gets Power Trip. It has knockoff and Roar and Snatch Plot if you want to go for that route. It even has Nasty Plot if you want to go special. So it's pretty interesting Pokemon to consider. Given like I think there was other fire types that I wanted, but I wanted to try out Incineroar just to see how it works. So yeah. Next Pokemon on the list is Jellicent. And Jellicent is actually kind of interesting if you ask me, because it's a low tier D pick, so I kind of wanted to, at this point I didn't have a water type, but I realized I kind of needed one, so and a ghost. Given the fact that like I have Lopunny and I have like Kyurem, I was like, yeah, I need a ghost type. But Jellicent kind of fills that role up very nicely. The fact that it has this thing is like for like a low tier pick, it has a very high SPDF stats, and it has access to like some good like options like Hex, Wisp, Toxic, Taunt, like for the most part, and it's kind of like interesting because you could just pretty much stall break with Jellicent, be like sort of a utility option to help your team like take hits and whatnot. Of course, it can't break like opposing dark types and some really defensive stuff, but like Jellicent is able to like handle some like of the strongest SPDF mons in the game in some situations. Especially it depends on how you raise it and whatnot. So yeah, of course you have like standard moves like Scald, Shadow Ball, Hex. You have and also coverage like Dark Pulse, Dazzling Gleam, Energy Ball, and also Giga Drain. So there's not and also Sludge Bomb if you really want to go that route. So as abilities, like there's also an interesting discussion you go with abilities here, since it's access to Water Absorb, which is nice. First Body. Like Water Absorb is nice if you want to like ensure that you don't get hit by a very strong water move. But Cursed Body is kind of interesting in of itself because it could be very, very, very eventful, as I've seen. So, yeah. In some situations, Cursed Body might be the better option to run. If it's like, if it depends. Like, if you're facing a very high-powered water type user, like let's say like Volcanion, Water Absorb is like the way to go. But if you want to face something that like a Vaporeon while avoiding like possible toxic damage, like sort of wink wink right there. While pretty much like while you're getting burnt, but also removing like toxic or a possible toxic play against you, then yeah, that's really nice to have. So, Cursed Body can just remove a certain move and just allow something like Lopunny just to come in or just set up on them. So yeah, but yeah, that's all I really have to say about Jellicent. It has nice overall defenses. Of course, its special attack is kind of left to be desired, but honestly, it's a great. Also, one last thing is that this thing pairs really amazingly with Nidoqueen. Being able to like spin block, being able to like handle most of Nidoqueen's counters. Like Nidoqueen handles a lot of like grass, electric types, and even some dark types if it wants to. But then like this thing can handle like the psychics, the ground types and whatnot, psychic ground and a water type. So it's really nice pairing there. So now the next Pokemon I wanted to pick was kind of a controversial one, but I think I'll just leave that aside. So I kind of wanted to grab like Dusk, but then I realized, I couldn't grab Dusk, so I had to get the other one for him, Dave, since it's like one tier lower. So now Lycanroc Day has a really, like, as you can notice, like it has access to Stealth Rocks, it has access to like Swords Dance, and also its ability or its signature move, a Cell Rock, which is really nice priority. So it also has some really nice coverage with Brick Break, Drill Run, Stone Edge, and as well as like Sucker Punch, Taunt, and whatnot. So I did give this thing a Z move option as well, so it could at least run Z Stone Edge, but with its like Rockium Z or something like that. So that pretty much ensures that it has a strong Stone Edge to abuse. So yeah. One thing I like about, or the only thing I also like the fact that this thing has like a sort of a trollish speed tier, like 112. So compared to the other form, this one has 2 points faster than some Pokemon like Mega Latios and Mega Gallade. Then again, I'm never gonna battle this thing against Mega Gallade, but still having like that to outspeed a Lati or Gengar or something like that, or base 110s is really nice. Since I was lacking in the speed department in this team, so yeah. And having other priority options is always nice, so, as well as a rocker. So, not really much to say about Lycanroc. It's kind of like a gimme pick at this point, since I kind of like the draft where I am at the moment. So with Jellicent, Incineroar, and Kyurem. So the last Pokemon we have is Lurantis. And this thing was actually ranked E tier, which is kind of interesting because this is pretty much like a setup option. This thing could set up like this thing. The fact that this thing has Contrary, Superpower, and Leaf Storm is really ridiculous, and it has access to Defog as well. So you could try like being a Defogger as well, since on this guys. But most of the time, you might just go with the Superpower Leaf Blade route, or even the Contrary Leaf Storm. But most of the time, like Superpower. Its coverage options are kind of interesting. It's limited because of guys as per usual being a grass type, but given the fact that it has Superpower plus Knockoff, Leaf Blade, it should be enough to bypass some stuff. Especially the fact that it's like it has like some some other coverage I saw that kind of piqued my interest. Like I think it has Leech Life, which is kind of interesting recovery if it ever goes that route. Poison Jab. It also has I think Dual Chop. Now, Dual Chop is not that valuable, but in some situations, you may want to have something to like break through, like a dragon. So, Like, so, like sometimes for some stupid reason, grass types always get like rolled out by dragons. So might as well have something for them. So yeah. But of course, contrary leaves like contrary superpowers where it's at. So being able to like set up your defenses really high to the point where it can't be like killed, it's just ridiculous. And I think, and I've seen some like battles where Lurantis could just sweep by itself. So yeah, and it can't be intimidated at all. Like you're just gonna increase this thing's attack, and it's just gonna go for superpower. So, and the fact that this thing just hits ridiculously hard and just has all these like options to set up as well is like the reason why I decided, you know what, I'd rather just get like I think this is either between this guy or Tangela. And I figured, you know what, I wanted to try Lurantis. And yeah, really nice Pokemon. Definitely a nice Pokemon. I want to try it out for sure. So that's pretty much it for the draft. I wonder this. Yeah, that's my Sun and Moon team. It's an in-game team right there. So you pair that with Metagross and Aromatisse and Lopunny. That's something you get from Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon. Okay, but yeah. Overall, like I feel like the draft went nicely for me. Like I mean the first I think 8 Pokemon like really complement each other very nicely. I think the only thing I don't like is the fact that of course I drafted like 2 Psychic types and Ghost. Of course like you're gonna be weak to Dark and Ghost types. But hopefully Lopunny and Incineroar can hold that up. And then not only that, like how many ground weaknesses do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4. But then again, I don't want to pair them off too often. Pair them up together as often. Especially when you have Jellicent and you have like Zapdos, Mew, Serum, and Lurantis. I mean, the fact you have Lurantis against a ground type might be enough for them to like, yeah, I'm not gonna screw with this thing. So yeah. I mean, like, I think the first 8 Pokemon is pretty much my team, and these 2 are kind of filler. So, like, again, like, I'm not really so sure exactly, like, since it's early in the draft, like, or early in the season, I'm not so sure what Pokemon I'm gonna keep, what Pokemon are gonna stay, so don't expect certain Pokemon to go or stay on this team, so, yeah, that's the draft, so, I talked too much already, so, about this team, so, hopefully we'll just have some battles going up every, like, Friday or Saturday, so, for each game, so, hopefully you'll enjoy these battles, so, anyways, I'm gonna be, logging off, so, anyway, hope you guys enjoy, leave a like, comment, and, like, comment about what, like, anything you want, you notice issues with this team, I'll take note. I do have an extra 40 points for like for this team, like after the result of like drafting. So I do have a lot of like, if I want to make any free agencies, I could do them. Like I do have a lot of like points to do so. So get much more stronger Pokemon. So, but anyways, that's all I have for you guys. So hope you guys enjoyed, and see ya.